Fuck. Am I still on hold? Welcome. Hey, welcome back to The Irrational, the podcast where we discuss various pieces of media and the fears that they've instilled in us. Thank you again for joining me. I'm apparently still on hold with the insurance company. It's been a week. Fuck. Okay, well, whatever. So this week's guest is Sarah Sherman. She is amazing. She's really funny. She's a great new comic in Chicago. We talk about her fear of pretty much everything, like pretty much the whole entire world. She's afraid of it all. Most notably murderers and men, and it's a real fun, silly conversation, even though it gets extremely bleak and dark. But that's what we do here at The Irrational. So, cool. Without further ado, Sarah Sherman.
Murderers. I really love to talk about murderers.
Okay. That's where we're starting. So, what about murderers?
I think at a very young age I understood why, like, I'm not like, oh, I understand why someone would kill someone, but I knew that there were people out there, like, who would murder, and I could, like, know why they wanted to murder.
Yeah.
And,
What was this from?
I definitely watched The Shining. I was like 8. You know, when there's a guy when he's in the bear suit and then he gets axed.
Yeah. Wait.
Did I just?
He's in the bear suit.
There's like.
I know the bear suit, but that doesn't. He doesn't.
And then there's like
killed.
He doesn't. There's like a bear suit. There's like an axe moment. It's like a flash of something. Doesn't he get? There's like an axe at the same time.
He axes the groundskeeper in the.
Oh, maybe I conflated those two moments.
And then there's also the moment where Shelley Duvall sees this weird like bear dog thing.
That's the bear
giving a guy a blowjob.
That's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that. Oh God, I have a lot of fucked up sex fears too. That's
From The Shining too.
Just in general. Oh God. Yeah. Maybe actually that was probably my worst fear.
Sex fears?
Oh my God. Yeah.
What's that from?
Oh God, terrible body image issues my whole life.
Yeah.
Really afraid. Even now, I kind of like dress like a fucking. Well, I mean, sometimes I have like sister wife Mormon tendencies, being like, oh, I wish I was like bundled up all the way to my neck. Where does that come from?
I love the winter because it can just hide all my shame.
Yes. I like layering like this. You guys can't tell right now on the podcast, but I'm wearing shorts and a shirt. And like literally has never happened.
But they're not just shorts and a shirt. This is like a child who loves baseball. Like that's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Except it's covered in goggles for some reason. But it's also the size of like an adult man. Yeah. And
that's I mean, I wear very extra large clothing all the time.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pajama set.
It looks like pajamas for a man,
and
it's styled like a child's.
I think that the child's comes from the primary colors.
Yeah.
But I think
probably.
You have to transport yourself to the 80s where real men were wearing like primary colors.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I also do. I feel like it's not super common for men to wear pajamas.
It's so true. I actually don't. I've never worn pajamas in my life.
I did. I always hated them. It's like I didn't want to put on clothes to go to bed.
Do you sleep? Oh, you sleep in underwear. I can't even sleep in underwear.
Yeah, I occasionally sleep nude. Don't love it. Don't hate it. Wait, so let's stick.
Oh yeah.
So
I was like, okay, we're gonna start somewhere like really cool. We're gonna like talk about Goosebumps. And then I was like, oh, I know what my worst fear is, my body.
But what? Let's stick with Shining for a little bit.
Yeah.
So you watched Shining.
Mm-hmm.
As a child.
And I also watched Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah.
And
how's that? I haven't seen that.
It's an Agatha Christie book. I saw some fucking old version of it. I'm just gonna spoil the end. At the end, there's not one murderer. They all murdered him. And there's this one shot where you see like 10 people gathered around a body and they're just like all stabbing it at once.
Jesus.
And I like vomited that night.
How
I was
old
staying
were
at
you
my
for that
grandparents' house. Like fucking, I couldn't have been very old. I'm at, what are you, like when you're in like 4th grade?
I couldn't tell you. I have no concept of
I'm
time.
absolutely zero concept. I just know that I was like watching at my grandparents' spooky house, and then I like went to go to sleep, and I just like barfed in the bed because I wanted to go to the bathroom to barf, but I was too afraid to leave my bed because of the
why'd you barf?
murders. I was
it
so
fear or-
afraid that I barfed.
Wow.
Just the image of like everyone murdering this one, like you watch them all like just stab this one person to death.
That sounds scary.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck.
Because it's like,
especially as a child, like
you're like knowing as a child that someone could be capable of the intense emotion, like the someone is capable of doing that.
yeah.
I like always remember thinking that.
Because that's like learning that someone is like capable of killing is a pretty scary thing.
Mhm.
But then like there is you can kind of take solace in the fact that like, is it like a passion thing? Like I don't know, one person went crazy, that's one thing.
Right.
But like if a group of people get together to kill a person, it's like that's calculated. They've all come to terms with it. They're cool that the other people are down to murder. That's like a way scarier scene. Because what is that? Why would they want to murder like that?
I don't even. That's the fuck. This thing has had such a like impression on my life, and I can't even fucking remember what that whole movie was about. I don't remember why. I think they all hated him. I don't remember why.
So this freaked you out so much to the point where you became obsessed with murderers?
Uh-huh.
And how did that go?
When you grow up when you're a little girl, when you when you grow up as a little girl, your parents and your authority figures are constantly warning you that someone's going to try to kill you or rape you.
Yeah, for sure.
So, like, I wasn't allowed to play in my front yard because someone was going to come murder or rape me.
Yeah.
So it's like a weird state of existence to be like, I'm little and I don't even really know what murder and rape is, but I know that everyone's trying to do it.
Yeah, and I want to make sure they don't.
Yeah, exactly. And watching a lot of To Catch a Predator,
Yeah.
and every other week I would watch Oprah every day, and every other week on Oprah it was like some woman who was like, my husband tried to kill me. And it seemed like everyone was trying to murder and rape women.
What a treat. How fun is it to grow up as a woman?
Oh my God, it's so great.
But so like would you look up real life murderers and just like study them? Like what do you mean was it like obsessed, like an obsessive fear, or was it obsessive fear where you like went what am I trying to say? When you were obsessed with it, was it you were obsessed with avoiding being murdered, or when because you said you were obsessed with murderers?
I felt like I could imagine people, especially older men that I knew, like having secret lives in which they were murderers. Like I had this really bizarre, I still don't even know who he is. I think he's a vague peripheral cousin of mine he just looks like a big perv. He just looks like a big old pedophile. He like walks into bar mitzvahs with like a t-shirt with some fucking dolphins on it that says Miami in like watercolor.
Okay.
And I like remember as a child looking at him and being like, you're a man that I know. You're very familiar to me, and I think deep down inside that you're capable of murder.
Yeah. And how old were you when you were having these thoughts about him?
I was also young. I was like really young, knowing that like men are just being kind of obsessed with the idea that like men around me who could like overtake me in a situation, or I could be alone with at any moment.
Yeah.
Because they're part of an inner circle, like could just be a murdery rapey.
Yeah.
Also I always, my parents knew I was a smart little demon.
I did not expect demon to be there.
I'm a little I'm mischievous. I was a little schemer. I had this great uncle and aunt, Cleo and Ed, and before I even like knew what hoarding was, I like knew they were hoarders.
Okay.
Like in my head,
you just saw their behavior and like, this is weird. Why do they keep all this garbage?
They would like gift me a salt and pepper shaker from the Marriott Hotel, like that was covered in dust. And in my little kid brain, I'm like, I bet they got this out of a big garbage pile.
That's so weird.
So but my parents were just like, they didn't want me to know shit. So
Yeah.
I'd be like, I think they come out of a big garbage pile. And they'd be like, shut up, you fucking idiot. So that I had this Uncle Ed, and like you looked into his fucking eyes and they were wandering wily eyes,
Yeah.
and I just like knew he was a fucking murderer.
Yeah.
And I remember as a little kid saying to my mom, like, I don't trust those eyes and that weird like whalebone bolo tie that had like etchings of like ships on it.
Yeah.
You'd also give me underwear and call them panties.
No, yeah. That's where you should start when you're talking about Ed. You're like, oh, he had a bolo tie also. That's horrifying. You shouldn't be gifting a child underpants at all. Unless you're their parents, which you still just buy them. That's not a gift.
Also,
just buy them
think about like this underwear
panties.
came from a hoarder pile that had like literally after they died and they like excavated the apartment, there were like dead animals under those things.
That's scary.
Yeah, and like I put that on my little kid butt. These like
Oh, you wore them?
Yeah. We're Jews. You're like, what are you gonna do? Like not take a free gift? But I remember being like having the thought like something's kind of off about that guy. And like me, I also remember having the thought like, am I a witch and I am like really insightful and I can see these things, or can everyone tell that he's a murderer?
Yeah.
And
now that you're an adult, can you freely talk about this stuff? Or does everyone still brush it off like stop?
Oh no, the only reason we were talking about it is because I was like little and my parents didn't want me to be like as fucked up as I am now, I guess. But oh no, we wildly this is free information.
Oh, now you guys talk about it fine.
Yeah.
Okay,
there's
cool.
no like secrets in my family.
Cool.
There actually should be more. Actually, there should. Yeah, there's too much. Yeah.
You could use some secrets.
Yeah, like my dad dropped me off at college, and the first night was like, no sucking and fucking on the first night, huh?
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's.
Apparently, I don't know if this is true, but my dad told me that one of my grandmas told my sister, like when she was going off to college, she said it feels a lot better going in than it does coming out, in reference to babies, I guess. That's horrifying.
Wait, who said that?
My grandma. And like,
that's a great way to put it.
It is a great way to put it, but it was like, it wasn't my fun time crazy silly grandma. It was like my more buttoned down conservative. Like,
oh God.
I always joke that I'm mixed in that my mom's side of the family is drunken Irish, cards on the table, fight it out Irish, and then my dad's side is repressed, keep your secrets Irish.
So she came from the repressed, keep your secrets
and
Irish.
she said that crazy shit, and I was like, "What are you doing?" Like,
the most terrifying part about that is that it doesn't sound like coming in was very good for her. If she's even equating it in a sentence, you know what I mean? Like that's the terrifying thing.
Yeah, but I think she was actually saying it more as a joke. I don't think she was being like a creep. Like she grabbed my sister with like deathly fingers and was like, "Remember." Like I don't think it was anything like that. But it's a shocking thing when
poetic
authority figures or parents and grandparents say weird shit like that to you.
All the
you forget that they know what sex is, and it's like, oh, gross.
Oh, I was oh my God, my I don't even know how to word this without sounding like my dad molested me, but he would be like,
just as a disclaimer, he did not though.
No, he didn't. Even though I had a therapist who thought I was molested by my dad, but
because you told your therapist this story that you're about to tell.
No, I mean, like, we'd be talking, like, whatever, she'd be talking. Every time I would talk about my parents, I would start, like, sobbing.
Yeah.
And she was like, were you, like, abused?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, no, I'm just crying because I feel guilty about how much love I received from my parents. Like,
really?
It was literally, it was like, I was just like, I can't talk about my parents right now in therapy because, like, they love me and I can't handle it.
Sure.
And she was like, were you molested? And I'm like, we're done. But then I think clearly I sound like I'm obviously repressing getting molested. But
I feel like I feel like a repressed type of thing isn't, if you're exploring it, that's where it becomes unrepressed.
Right.
But if you're not remembering anything weird while exploring it.
I would totally remember if I was molested.
Probably. What was the story though? The story about
my Uncle Ed. My dad.
Yeah, your dad.
He'd just be like, like I would wear like semi-short shorts. He'd be like, "Hey, your Johnny's hanging out." It's like just he was really
I've known
vulgar
dads
guy.
like that. Just
yeah.
vulgarity. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not appropriate, but I wouldn't call it
fine.
creepy.
He
you know
like
what I mean?
I would read this series of unfortunate events books, and he
Yeah.
like thought the name Lemony Snicket was funny, and he's also an idiot, so he couldn't remember the name of it. So he'd be like, "Hey, old slippery nipples over here, old lemony liplets." So he would like literally refer to my boobs as lemony liplets. Like, why are you referring to my boobs, Dad?
At all.
Yeah.
Even if he said boobs, why are you referring to the boobs?
Just
You sound like you've got silly parents. You've told me
Yeah.
before you've got real goofball for parents.
My dad is. My mom's a little bit of a stone cold bitch, but in a good
Really?
way.
I was gonna
I mean,
say,
it's good.
Y'all paint giant slices of pizza together and stuff. She seems like a fun time gal.
She didn't really help me with that, but I mean, she like enabled. She's down with it, but it doesn't come. It's definitely my dad.
She's just supportive of
Like,
your weird stuff.
Yeah,
But she doesn't
in a way
participate.
that makes me cry when I think about it.
Yeah, my
Awesome.
parents are super supportive too.
Doesn't it suck?
It makes me feel guilty all the time. Which is good because guilt is my best motivator.
That's good.
I get shit done because I feel terrible.
That's actually right. It's like your parents were so supportive, and they got you to where, and for you to fail would be to fail all the love
Yeah.
and money that they poured into you your whole life.
Exactly.
So don't fuck this up.
Exactly. It's too much pressure. Oh man.
Yeah.
So murderers.
Oh yeah. So my uncle Ed.
Yeah.
So I was like, I was 7. I'm like, I know this guy's a fucking murderer. I
Yeah.
find out that like when he was taking care of his wife, my aunt, his wife's like ailing mother,
Yeah.
because they had a weird like codependent relationship. They would like sleep in the same bed for it was
Wait, his wife's
so
mother?
So my aunt Cleo is the one I'm related to.
Yeah.
So Cleo is my aunt. She married Ed. My aunt Cleo, so I guess my great grandmother or whatever.
Yeah.
When she was dying, she lived in their house, and while Cleo was gone during the day, her husband Ed was like the caretaker, I guess.
Okay.
And we found out he was like withholding her insulin, like trying to kill her.
Oh my god.
And I fucking knew. And this was like 20 years before I was even born, and I knew it. You know what I mean? Like, I fucking
You're
knew
like,
it.
yeah, you saw that guy had the capacity to kill.
Yeah. And like I don't think anything. God damn it. I don't think anything became of that, and I think no one paid like any mind to it, because they're like, yeah, he's a fucking psycho, but
Yeah.
what are you gonna do?
That's so weird.
Mm-hmm.
And then they allowed him to gift you panties.
And Bakelite jewelry. Bakelite was this like
Bakelite
old.
Was that you kind of like just make little ceramic jewelries?
They're plastic. It's like a weird, expensive plastic jewelry, and he would just like make me like jewelry.
Yeah, he sounds like a murderer.
He sounds like right, and I knew like I was little, and I'm like, that guy's a murderer.
Yeah.
He's a big murderer.
Yeah. And he's gone now? He's passed?
Thank God.
Oh god. Okay, so is that what you more mean that you're obsessed with murders? Is like seeing him out in the world and figuring out who is? Or like cuz like okay, well,
Yeah.
here's another thing. I'm going to tie this to something else cuz you pitched me a handful of shit.
Yeah.
I feel like I could tie like a few of these together.
Okay.
It's probably me. It's like I reach a lot on this podcast.
No, this is good. This is good, because I should probably go back to therapy.
So, two other ones stuck out to me so far in just what you've told me.
Mhm.
The haunted mask from Goosebumps,
Mhm.
and you're afraid of men in power
Mhm.
from the Holocaust and stuff.
Mhm.
The haunted mask feels like, for me, I
Mhm.
was deathly afraid of the haunted mask. It gave me nightmares, and it was because of kind of this, like, it got out of my control, a claustrophobia type of thing.
Mhm.
And, like, it just, like, the idea that this mask would, like, cling and take over who you are, it really
Mhm.
freaked me out. And then I feel like that claustrophobia is
Mhm.
could be tied to, like, your fear of the mystery of the Orient Express, where
Mhm.
it's like all of these people turn against this person, and it's like when you've got that many people against you in like a secluded area, you have zero control, and that's terrifying. And then like another tie is just this one's more easy, it's less of a stretch. You're afraid of men in power and you think they're all murderers because of like the Holocaust and whatnot.
You know, and The Mask, that was The Shining. It's this little boy's dad.
That's another, you have zero control. You're
right.
out. He's like stranded in this mansion with a crazy man.
And the scariest part was that it's like your dad could be the murderer.
Yeah.
And like The Mask, that's a scary part because it's like it could be you too.
Yeah.
If you're, and yeah, actually my mom, right? It's the idea that like anyone I know could do it.
Yeah.
So like my mom had this like mantra. She's like, you know, you can never really know anyone. And she would say that like about my dad that she's been married to for 20 years. I mean, it's meant to be like more nuanced than that.
Sure.
Like everyone's really complicated, but also like anyone's kind of capable of like literally anything.
Yeah.
Like if you're in, you just put on the mask, you could be the fucking murderer.
Yeah, like when you see those movies, like I know like obviously with the movies most of it's like very glorified and stuff, but like with dumb example, Fight Club, there are people out there that don't realize what they're doing, like they like with multiple personality syndrome and stuff, like they don't have any idea that they've been doing something, and that's terrifying to me. Like you could have been a murderer this whole time.
Right.
It's weird. Or like let's say something that, because that I feel like that's a huge mental disorder and stuff, and it'd be hard for me to have made it this long in my life without somebody noticing that I have multiple personalities, because I keep I know all of my days. Like it's not like I'm like, what happened to last week,
all of my
you know?
personalities.
No. But just something easy that we could be susceptible to, Ambien. You hear these stories about, like, there's this one story about this woman. She took an Ambien. She was going to go to bed. It was kicking in. She's like about to doze off, and her friend called her up, and she's like, hey, we're going out on the town. You got to come out with us. And she's like, okay, I'll go do that. So she gets dressed. She goes out, joins her friend, parties all night, drinks all night, hangs out all night, goes home, goes to sleep, wakes up the next morning thinking that she took the Ambien and went to sleep. Because what happened was the Ambien had kicked in and she was dozing off, and her friend called her, and then she was just in this like free-floating Ambien
like a
state,
fugue.
and she had fugue state. She had no idea that she went out and had fun with friends and stuff. And that's terrifying to me, because like just as simple as like getting too drunk and blacking out, you're like, fuck, did I say something stupid? But it's like, if you accidentally take the wrong drug, you go into like a fugue state. What if you kill someone? Even if it's by accident. You know, but like, I'm not saying you become like a malicious monster, but like, it could be you. You could be the monster.
I've always been afraid that I'm going crazy.
Yeah. That's what, so Nicky Martin, he had his episode, his fear is that he's crazy and doesn't know it, or that he could go crazy and not know it.
Well, that's another thing about the fucking Shining. Is like, it's just a dad writing a thing, and he just got a little too into it in the middle of the mountains.
Yeah.
And he fucking went crazy. And like,
it is the Shining that's scary, because at first he's a little bit of a prick, but he's not crazy. He's just like a grumpy dude, and then he slowly goes more and more mad.
Yeah.
And you're watching this and you're like, he's going crazy, this is nuts, like this is scary. And then when she discovers what he's been writing, and the entire time it's been the all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, you're like, oh no, he was always crazy from the very start.
Right.
Even when he didn't seem crazy, he was actually crazy.
Right.
And that's scarier, because you're like, even when someone seems normal, they could be a nutcase. Like, it's not always as obvious as at the end when he's running around with an axe.
This seems like a jump, but like this is why I've always been
jump around. It's
okay. That's I for a very long time did not partake in drugs and alcohol, because I was like literally afraid that I would spiral out of control, or like unlock something about me.
Spiral out of control.
Like I just wouldn't have
like you'd become an addict, or as in like just that one night you were scared of spiraling the one night.
The like people use substances to like rid themselves of inhibitions, free themselves of like whatever trappings.
Yeah.
And I like am afraid of losing that control, and I am a little bit afraid of losing my mind. I'm like
Okay.
totally afraid of it. I'm less afraid. I did mushrooms and I feel like less afraid of that, but I smoke too much pot now, but I was always really afraid of that. And I was afraid to like start doing stand up too because of the fear that I'm crazy. I'm the delusional one. Everyone else can see that I'm just like up there just a fucking maniac
Yeah.
and none of this is making any sense. You know what I mean? That's scary.
Okay. So you were afraid that
Oh, I'm
getting on
really
stage would expose to other people that you're crazy, and then that would make you realize you're crazy?
or just like working really hard in something, doing something that you think is good and like everyone else can see that it's not and you're the crazy one.
So that is a thing. It's called Dunning-Kruger effect.
Yes.
I've told you about this, right?
No, but I found out about it because I watched a video on YouTube
Uh-huh.
called The Worst Church Choir Singer of All Time.
Okay.
And it's this guy who's just fucking going at it.
Yeah.
Oh man, I want to like do an impression. I mean, he literally sings like, "Wah!" like, and he thinks he's fucking ripping it, and it's kind of awesome because you see him like with just sheer confidence,
Yeah.
like tearing up the motherfucking church.
Yeah.
But it's like the most god awful like wailing you've ever heard. And then in the YouTube comments, someone was like, "This guy has Dunning-Kruger or whatever it's called."
Yeah. Because what
Which-
it is like bad. If you're bad at something, you think you're amazing. If you're
Right.
amazing at something, you think you're bad.
Right, and he.
And it's way more complicated than that, but that's like the boiled down, like bare bones of it all.
Okay.
So yeah, he probably just thinks he's fucking killing it.
Oh, I mean,
then
he
it's
like,
awful.
and in a way, he really is, because he's just going.
See
at
now
it.
that if somebody's trying to make, if he wanted to make like his life about singing, if he wanted to devote his
Mhm.
life to about singing, like quit everything, he'd like quit his job,
Mhm.
like just turn his life around, just go into singing, that would be a bummer
Mhm.
because he wouldn't go anywhere.
Mhm.
That would be a sad thing. But if that's just like his hobby, it doesn't matter if he's good or not. It makes him
I
happy,
know.
right?
See, I can think that about someone else, but can you fucking imagine?
No,
They-
it would eat me up. But I think that's why we're not bad at stand up, because we think we suck, so we work really hard to not
Can you
suck.
imagine how Can you imagine if you were confident
Yeah, you'd be complacent.
and like literally, would you even be likable? Like, would anyone like you?
I mean, I currently don't think anyone likes me.
There you go.
I said to Sonia today, because like a lot of people have been like just a little cheerier towards me since I announced that I was moving, and I was like, I didn't think anyone would care, and she was like, why? Why would no one care? You have 100 friends in this city. I was like, I don't know. I thought they would just be like, okay, cool, have a good one.
And then can you like
didn't think anyone
imagine
would
being the
miss
kind of
me.
person who'd be like, everyone's gonna be devastated when
Yeah.
I leave this town. Like, you'd suck.
And
You
that's the
would
person that
literally
everyone's
suck.
like, thank fucking God that they're leaving. Which happens. It's happened plenty of times.
Yeah, it. I
The
wonder.
lesson here is don't be confident in yourself, and then you'll do great.
I used to be a barfer. Literally.
I thought this was, I used to be and I thought you were going to say a job title. So then when you said
He's a
barfer.
barista.
Yeah, like I thought you were gonna say bartender, barista, like, but barfer. Okay,
I was a
so.
before I did any stand up, I would just fucking barf. And like
Okay.
the bigger the show was, the more barfing that I was doing.
How long did it take you to get over that?
It was weird. I have been doing I've been performing forever, and I was doing improv forever.
Yeah.
And then I was faced with like a lot of like rejection. I was just like auditioning for a bunch of shit and not getting it, and I was like faced with my own and like really thought of myself as a failure. And like ever since then, and so this was like 2 years ago. And so before every improv show, I would just like barf because I'm like, oh, I suck. I can't believe, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
it would just get it was stage fright manifesting as like extreme anxiety, and I like lost 20 pounds because I couldn't like eat or anything before a show, and I was doing shows at IO once a week for like months, and I was just like always barfing. And then at Northwestern, like Nick Offerman came, and there was like 1,000-person audience. It was in a big like concert hall.
Yeah.
And so like 3 days leading up to that, I like couldn't eat. And
Wait, you were opening for him?
Oh yeah, I opened for him, and it was awful. It was the worst day of my life.
Really?
I like blacked out and don't remember it. But yeah, and what were you talking? Yeah. So there's a lot of my own self-doubt and lack of confidence like literally resulted in like physical distress.
Yeah.
It was fucked up.
Never barfed. I also I'm not a pre-show barfer or a pre-show pooper.
Oh,
those are the things.
Yeah.
Lots of people poop. I get more like anxious. Not anxious, like
jittery.
It's timid. Like I'm talking about my colon. I couldn't poop.
Oh.
If I had to poop so bad and then I had a show, I don't think I could poop if I was like at the venue or something, you know.
I wonder if your body is like protecting it. It's like locking down.
I think so.
It's like protecting itself. It's like nothing's coming in or out.
Yeah. But that, I mean,
you're in a bunker.
I've also gotten to a place where I'm not actually all that afraid anymore. It is funny that you say in or out, because I just told someone yesterday
that it feels
Kevin
better
White,
coming in than out.
No, yeah, exactly. I can't eat at the venue. If I'm starving and I show up and like I'm going on stage in like the next 30 minutes, I can't eat.
Can you drink water?
Yeah, I can drink water, beer and stuff, but like I need to eat something, like, cuz like I can't think straight if I'm not eating. So like yesterday I forced myself to eat, and I could only finish half a sandwich, but I needed it.
Oh yeah, and then like 8 hours later, you're like, Sonia, do you want this wet old Mediterranean sandwich?
Yeah, I forgot. And then this morning, I found it in my living room. I forgot to put it away. It was garbage by that point, anyhow. Oh man. So wait, back to murderers.
Oh yeah, I'm like really taking us on a wild ride that is like nothing. I'm realizing
I
that like I don't really. I'm like finding out a lot about it, actually. I can't like succinctly say like this is what I'm afraid of.
No, I don't think most people can. And that's kind of the point of the podcast, is we just
cool.
like figure out these vague fears that like haunt us. But like let's move over to like your fear of men in power, which is pretty relevant always. But I feel like it's getting a little more relevant right now with like, I don't know, the Trump presidency looming and whatnot. This is from the Holocaust specifically?
No, the reason I thought I tried to break it down, maybe what we were just like, I grew up in Jewtown, USA, population every Jew in the goddamn planet, and we were like forced. I went to Hebrew school for like years, and it's kind of, there's like a little bit of Jew brainwashing that happens in Jew towns when you just like literally have to look at 1 billion pictures of ovens and like dead bodies piled, and like you have to watch like every goddamn Holocaust documentary and like counting paper clips and whatever. That's like a reference. That's like a really deep.
Counting paper clips?
It's like they would fill up a train car with like as many bodies as were in the train car with the and then the whatever amount, like whatever. We did the whole fucking Holocaust thing, big deal. And then I also grew up like in New York, and so like 9/11, oh my god, no one shut up about 9/11. It's like now we have to watch all this footage of like all these bodies, dead bodies everywhere. Like I was always, they would show you, like in school we watched people jumping out of the buildings. Like it was fucked up.
That's wild. I never saw footage, I don't think, until I caught it on the news. I think
people got obsessed with it. Like it was, to me it felt like wanting to be a part, like bonded to this trauma, and so we could all like, it was just like trauma bonding. It was really weird. I remember as a little kid then like Mayor Giuliani going on like Saturday Night Live right after 9/11 happened, being like, New York, we did it together, we're amazing. And then like everyone in New York being like, yes, we're amazing, we're a family. You know, like wanting to be a part of that.
Just like making it a part of your personality. And I get the appeal to that. Like, not appeal like in like a shallow way, just like emotionally, like people do cling to things like that. But it is weird at the same time. It's it's an odd phenomenon of like, why are you trying to make a national tragedy part of your identity?
Right.
It's so bizarre.
Well, it's like wanting.
It's also weird to me because like I heard on it's probably Cracked. I reference Cracked way too much on this podcast, and then I complain about it too much on this podcast. I think it was Cracked though, but they were talking about like there's this like thing where people talking about like rewriting memories and stuff, and people remember. Like, yeah, I remember when 9/11 happened. We were watching the news footage, and like we saw the towers, like it got hit, and then it's like no one actually has that. Like that didn't actually happen to anyone, because why the fuck was there a TV in your classroom airing the news live? Like that didn't happen. What it was is like they remember later on the teachers like showed it, and then they tied it to the moment it happened,
and thinking that
so
they were watching
they watched it live.
Right.
Which is very interesting in and of itself. But my whole thing is, why the fuck was a school dragging a TV into the room of children and showing them that footage? I never experienced that.
Well, now I'm like wondering if it was just my parents making me watch it. But I mean,
feel
like
it might have been your school, because like I'm saying, this is a thing. Like it's a phenomenon that happens with people all the time. They tie it together. So I'm like, there were schools doing that. And I'm just like, why? Why did that happen?
They like, teachers wanted us to feel a connection to like a historical moment.
I'm sure it happened more. See, I grew up in Chicago, so I'm sure it happened more in New York, and like you spread from New York, and it's just less and less and less throughout the country.
I mean,
I'm sure it still
like
happened in like California in some
Yeah.
schools, but I'm sure like it's just less and less as you spread out.
There were like literal like smog clouds like over Long Island for like days after 9/11.
Yeah.
Like it's not like we were close, but it was like you could smell it. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, that's close.
It
Like
was pretty
relative
close.
for. I mean, I'm like I said, I'm from Chicago. That's to
yeah,
me,
my
Long
dad
Island
like
is
was
right
like
on top of it.
at 9/11 and like ran home. He like was he was like he was working in a office building like a couple blocks away, and was like, I think 9/11's happening, and he like ran towards 9/11.
Imagine if he had the foresight to know that it was going to be just referred to as 9/11.
It's like, you know what? Today?
Hey, I'm calling off early. 9/11's happening. Do you remember where you were?
Yeah, I was in school, and then they made an announcement, and they're like, if you think your parent works, because I was little, so they're like, if you think that your parent works in New York City, line up in this line to the main office.
You know, this giant city.
This giant city. Because
Oh
you're a
my
little
God.
kid, you don't like know where your parents work. But I knew. I was like, my dad works at 36 and 6. Line up in this line, and we'll call your parents and like find out where they are. So we were just like a line of little kids. It was a really long line down the hallway. And they let you into this room. There was like this one woman, one receptionist on the end of this big desk, and she's sitting in front of a phone. And I just had to call my parents, and she would just watch me.
That's so. And then that's got to be scary because he's commuting. Did anyone pick up?
So I called my mom, and I don't remember. I just remember being like, that was okay, haha. And then
Really?
like, I remember.
I'm sure someone picked up then if you were walking away.
I think it was my mom.
Like,
she was
chill.
like, she's like, it's so chill, dude. It's just 9/11.
It's just.
But my dad ran to 9/11, he like ran towards it,
Yeah.
saw it, was like, holy shit, I need to take a memento. Saw the chief of police's cop car and like ripped the like Chevy logo off of it, and then ran home.
Why would he do that?
Which is like,
That's a crazy.
it's
person.
crazy. He has it in his junk drawer.
What he
It's the Chevy logo from
defaced
my
a cop car. That's his
He-
first thought. He goes, "Oh my God, 9/11's happening. I need to deface a cop car."
It was like, I need a piece of 9/11, and then
That
he
is- but that's the
literally
weirdest
ran
Choice
home.
to do, like I don't
Just
know, grab
10 hours.
rubble, a
I
picture,
know.
anything. Like
That's actually
he ripped something off a cop car. That's so bizarre. I'm
I
sure he didn't get close enough to get rubble. I'm sure
That's
at that point
true.
it was like more
And you also
smog
can't
and dust.
see anything. It was all like
Yeah.
smog.
But that's still weird for him to be like, oh, the cop car. I'm gonna rip the logo.
I've been
That's
trying to
so-
write a joke
that's
about this for
genuinely funny.
fucking ever. I'm just gonna fuck it. I'm just gonna tell. I'm gonna
Just tell
literally try
Just
to.
tell the true story on stage.
And then my friend. Well, yes, and in this junk drawer is So his mom, my
Mementos
grandma.
of different tragedies.
What? So my grandma, his mom, had a one glass eye.
Oh God.
And it was like so. I mean, it was like fun. Like she would like play little game. I mean, so
I
the glass
understand
eye.
you better the more I learn about your dad.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a good guy. So when you have a glass eye, you have like an orb, a white orb sewn into your head. That's like the eyeball. But the thing that looks like an eyeball is a hand painted lens that you place on top of it.
Yeah, and it's like real thin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it looks like a big contact lens.
I did not know that there was an orb implanted though.
It's like
I never knew that.
There's like something like sewn in.
Really weird.
Yeah. So my grandma would play a joke where it's like, haha, I'm not wearing my lens, and then it's like, scary. But so when she died, we kept her eyeballs, her lenses, or her things. And when she died, my Aunt Marla was like, we kept the glass eye for you. We knew you'd want it, obviously. And I was like, thank you so much. My dad took it and put it in his junk drawer with his 9/11 scrap. And literally it's right next to the 9/11 scrap. And I was like, can I have it's also this perfect shape. It would go like amazing on a necklace. It's like an amazing pendant shape.
You fucking would.
I know. And I was like, after she died very recently, so this is insane. But I was like, can I please have the glass eye because I need to make a necklace out of it.
Yeah.
And he was like, why do you have to desecrate everything that's fucking sacred? It's my fucking mother. It's my fucking mother. And I'm like, you went up to 9/11 and desecrated it. I don't know how to make a joke out of it.
That's the joke.
Yeah, I can't talk about the truth on stage. Are you kidding me? I have to put on the
that's
mask.
That's not your style. Yeah, put the mask on. I don't know, but just tell that fucking story or do a storytelling show, and then you can take the mask off.
I've never taken.
So
No,
funny though.
Hey, I got to put the mask on and then go insane and murder someone.
Oh, you're a nut. I remember where I was. I have a fully confident memory. I know I am not in any way fucking this up.
Mm-hmm.
It was in junior high.
Mm-hmm.
I walked into science class, and there was like a big area, the lab area,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was like the classroom area with the desks and shit, and all the students were in their seats, and I walked in probably late because I was the shittiest student in the world. I was not in any capacity cool, but I was like a shitty burnout kid. My behavior was that of like the cool shitty burnout kid, but I was like a huge dweeb who was just irresponsible.
Was this Homewood Flossmoor Junior High?
This was James Hart Junior High School. It was like it's in Homewood though.
Okay.
We walked in, and our teacher was off in the lab area listening to a radio quietly, and we're children, so we started chatting quietly, and then it slowly got louder and louder till we were actually talking. And then our teacher stands up and he turns around and he goes, "Could you guys be quiet? Don't you know what's going on right now?"
It's 9/11.
And no, we didn't know what was going on because we were fucking children. We didn't have the internet on our phones yet. Like, no one told us. We were just kids talking. I was so angry at him that I honestly think like my first 30 minutes of like learning about 9/11, I was just pissed at Mr. Drews, this fucking asshole. Like, I don't know. I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit, but
I'll talk shit about 9/11
he was a fucking
all day.
asshole. I'm talking about Mr. Drews specifically.
Oh, is he
But I
listening
was
to the
so
podcast?
mad at him. Yeah, he's like the #1 fan. I was just so fucking angry. I was like, why are you talking to children like this? Why is this how are we learning about 9/11 in this way? Like, why are you screaming at us
like,
as if
shut up,
we
you fucking
caused it?
idiots. That's funny.
Such a prick. So I'll never forget that
so
moment.
you did 9/11.
Yeah. By chatting too loudly in class, we caused it. Oh man, what a dick.
That's funny.
See, now I'm talking shit. This is me. I can't stop. Once I start, I'm an asshole. So you I also think it's just very funny the way, I mean, I guess this is most Jewish people I know, the way like you talk about like calling stuff Jewtown. I'm like, ugh, like I cringe. Like it feels anti-Semitic. Like I'm just like, stop.
Someone said, were you at the Kohl's one time where I don't remember who it was, but someone was like said Jewish. They were like talking about someone on stage, and they were like, and they were Jewish, and he like whispered it, and he's like, "Am I allowed to say Jewish?" And everyone's like,
What?
"Yeah, that's not a slur."
That's like Like when people like, you can say Jewish, you can say black, you can say
Yeah.
you just when you
Don't
whisper
whisper
it,
it.
now it's a slur.
Yeah, exactly.
You've turned it into a slur by acting like it's a dirty word.
It's like it, or like when someone's like, "Can I borrow a tampon?"
Yeah.
You can say it.
Yeah.
You're not asking me for a fucking vibrating dildo in the middle of the
Exactly. They sell them in Walgreens. Like
Yeah.
they're everywhere. You
They
can
also
just say it
sell
out loud.
vibrators at Walgreens.
Do they really?
There's like they have like small like fingertip vibrating.
I can't
things you
believe
get in
that.
the lube section. I don't think they're like very good.
What is America coming to? No. I'm sure they're awful. Being sold
I
at
will
Walgreens.
try it.
Some as seen on TV vibrator shit. So you're afraid of men in power. How does that like what's the word I'm looking for? Manifest itself in your day to day.
So, just thinking that like any Oprah taught me that any man is a rapist or a murderer.
Yeah.
So if they're in power, they can easily rape and murder you. Any president, and then
I just jumped to president.
I
If
always
the wrong man gets in power, it's like, what can they do with that power?
and I idolized my teachers growing up. 'Cause they were the smartest people in like they were so fucking smart. I'm like,
Right.
how are teachers so smart?
Yeah.
And I
'Cause they have the answers in their books.
they have all the answers in their book, and that's how they get it. And my mom's a teacher too.
Oh,
and
your
I was
mom's a
like,
teacher?
yeah. So I was like, and she's a witch, and she can like smell me riding a bike like a mile away.
What?
Like shit like this. She just like knows what the fuck is up. She's a little witch. That's some Jew power for you. But I like idolized my teachers, and like my first like feelings of like sexual attraction were like towards older male teachers, because I'm like so smart, so
Yeah.
powerful. And then but like also knowing that they can use that power to rape or murder me.
Yeah.
So it's like complicated. And then I went to college, and I'm like, oh yes, older male professors do abuse this power.
Ooh, gross.
all the time.
Ooh, God, being a woman, what
Terrible.
a nightmare.
You're yeah, it's being afraid of pedophiles too when you're a little kid.
Yeah.
I can literally think of times when like strange men would like grope me. It's so gross.
Yeah.
It's so gross. Like I remember being at a barbecue, and some old man just like touched my butt, just like just like a light butt tap.
Ugh.
And I like remember like every smell of that moment.
Yeah.
And it's just like, imagine that guy was the president. Like no one would listen if you were like, "Hey, that guy touched my butt."
Right.
You know, like.
Or if that guy was, I don't know, let's say, a successful comedian,
and
and everyone looks the other way.
God damn it.
God, what a world.
Yeah, that's. Oh, what was my irrational fear growing up of just every reality of life?
You know, just like waking up in the morning and then having to deal with the nightmares of society. I normally ask, how do you cope with this?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like your fears are pretty much just, you have to live. You have to be alive in the world, so you just deal with it and watch your ass and make sure that no one's coming at you.
Like, as we're talking about this, I mean, I know this hasn't, like, this is mostly my internal climate now that I'm thinking of it, but I'm, like, realizing what my, like, actual worst fears are, and they're, like, all sex fears. And I think the way I cope with that is, like, I make really fucked up drawings and make horrible graphic sex jokes all the time.
Yeah.
But those normal fears, I don't know how I cope with those at all.
It's funny because I do okay, so like you produce a show called Ladylike,
Mm-hmm.
and the idea of the show is it all women or mostly women?
Mm-hmm.
So it's all women.
Or like
That wasn't a yes or no question.
Like,
You said
oh. I mean, like, or if you like identify outside the gender binary.
Gotcha.
Or with somewhere
So
within.
the concept of the show is that people they like share like relatively gross stories.
Mm-hmm.
I've never been because I'm a timid little boy, and it
We
has
only had
nothing to
one
do.
show.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was only one so far, but I wasn't sure. But I didn't go, and I wanted to go, but I was also kind of dragging my feet because like It has nothing to do with anyone's gender.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like gross things.
Oh my God.
But then I feel like, am
Uh-huh.
I the guy? Like, I don't want to make any women feel like I'm alienating them. Like, ooh, periods are gross. It's like, I don't want to hear about period blood as much as I don't want to hear about, like,
This is why you
regular
and my boyfriend
blood.
get along so well.
I'm just a delicate boy. Like,
yes.
like blood is blood.
Yeah.
I don't like blood.
Uh-huh.
Like, it's not that it's coming from a vagina makes it more gross. I just. So the batteries ran out on the recorder, and now we are jumping back in. I'll try to edit this out, but I might leave it in just so the audience is like, where did the weird cut happen?
It's kind of cute.
I'm a delicate boy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like gross things.
Mm-hmm.
You were going to tell a story about your boyfriend Dan
Mm-hmm.
is also delicate, and
Mhm.
he doesn't like your art.
Mm-hmm.
Because for those that don't know, Sarah is a bit of an artist, and she draws. I don't even know how to describe
just
it.
gross.
It's just gross.
It's just it's gross pussies
Yeah, a lot of pussies.
leaking. Gross.
Yeah,
shit.
as you just called it, your magnum opus is one where a woman, her pussy's leaking. Why did I say pussy? I said pussy because you said pussy. Now I'm saying pussy, and I'm not a pussy guy. Like,
You could be like my dad and say giny.
you're giant. So her giny is leaking a bunch of hamburger helper.
Yeah.
And when I first saw that, I was like, oh, okay. It's all really well done. You're good at what
Mhm.
you do. It's just that style of art bothers me.
Mm-hmm.
And that also bothers your boyfriend.
So my boyfriend Dan, like my magnum opus is either this woman with a splayed pussy and it's leaking hamburger helper, and there's another one where there's a naked woman bent over in a bowl of fancy feast and it's coming out of her pussy / anus.
Yeah.
And those are like, I'm like, oh, okay. Like we were talking about self-confidence issues. Like I have no issues with that. That I can proudly say those are my magnum opus.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I am all in with this. This is the proudest I've ever been in about anything. And he like literally cannot look at it.
Yeah.
It is so off-putting to him that he like cannot look at it. And I'm like, well, this is the most proud I've ever been of anything I've ever made. And like, you can't support me with this. We've been dating for 3.5 years. I can't believe you. And
Yeah.
you're like, so it's like but then I'm also like, this is what keeps us together. It's like, we're so different. But I mean, that's insane. This is like the proudest I've been of literally anything. And he like can't even look at it.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty intense, man.
I mean, that means I did my job because I
Yeah, you
do
did
want
your
it to be the
job.
grossest thing possible. But I also like just love it.
Do you think you are drawn to drawing stuff like that? Weird
Mhm.
way to phrase that. Do you think you like to draw stuff like that because of your body? Like
Yes.
so you have your like internal issues and like
Mhm.
you are worried about like your own body. So you're like, well, I'm going to own it in my
Mhm.
art.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's like, when
I think it's cool.
when you're a woman, if you are, I'm a hairy Jew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't look like what society thinks that a female body should look like. If you deviate in any way from what society thinks a female body should look like, you're gross. Like boys don't want to fuck you, you're gross. Well, that's what it's like growing up on Long Island. I mean, that's what you're taught
Right.
to be, and it's like, yeah, if you fucking think I'm grotesque, then I am, and I'm gonna own it, and fuck you. Here's clam chowder coming out of someone's nipple hole. And now I love it. And now I'm a one-trick pony, and I'm like, that's all I do, and but I love it.
I don't feel like finding your style or voice makes you a one-trick
Why
pony.
do I always think that?
You have to cut anything you do, you undercut it.
I know.
Just be proud of yourself, man.
I'm like, oh, I have a voice. I'm a fucking, everyone's bored. Like, oh, I have a point of view. Oh, great. Here she goes, talking about her point of view again.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm up there confidently talking with the point of view of just, like, the straightest, whitest man. Like, but I still, I mean, I guess it's easy to be confident when you're a straight white man. But my point is, it's the most common point of view out there. If someone's going to feel boring or feel like they're boring people, it should be me. And I don't, like, because I'm an individual. Like, I made it my own, and that's what you did. Like, you shouldn't feel like you're a one-trick pony because you found your voice.
I think a lot of times what happens, you know what? I come from a theater background, and they really, really stress range. Like if
Yeah.
you know what I mean, and it's
But
or
you're
like
not an actor. Like if you're
I know I'm not an actor.
you're
I
a
don't know
stand-up
why
comedian.
it got fucking really beat the
You know
fuck
how
into
shitty
me.
it would be? Like, what kind of stand-up comedian do you you buy a ticket and you have no idea what voice,
Right.
like, I've seen, like Reggie Watts will fuck around with, like, the different
Mhm.
ranges, but that is still his voice, is, like, his broad scale of, like, zany shit. Like, if you bought a ticket to a comedian and you went to see them and you saw something that you're like, well, that's not who I thought I was seeing,
Right.
that would be a bummer.
Maybe it's like
it's not
the
acting.
improv thing is like you have a range of character and emotion. And it's like you have to be like the most well, it's also like hate to say it, if you're a woman in performing or comedy or improv or whatever, like theater was really fucked up. I'm guess like I can't take back doing theater for my whole fucking life, but it's
Yeah.
like if you're a dude, it's like you just get up there and he's like, you know what, he's really likable. He's a regular old Judd Apatow hero. You know what I mean? But if you're like a female actress and you're like auditioning for a role, it's like, can she do this and this? But also, can she do this? Is she smart? But also, is she pretty? But also, is she funny? But also, could she be like really serious? But also, could she be like kind of wacky?
But not gross.
But not gross.
Yeah, I do
it's
feel like
crazy.
women do get pigeonholed. Am I using that
Yeah.
phrase right? Like way more than men. Like it is like men are allowed to have a range where women have to like figure out who they're gonna represent. But I feel like that is more in acting.
Right. I think it just got beat into me that. Or like if I do a lot of commissioned work or whatever, someone like wants me to do a poster for their show or something, and like I literally can only do slime letters.
Sure.
And I'm like, oh well, I should really open
Well, that's
the
people
repertoire a
like
little
my
bit.
art, and they request design work, and I'm like, I'm not a designer.
Mm-hmm.
I draw what I draw. Like
Yeah.
you're not gonna, if you want your poster to look like every other painting I've ever done, like sure.
I gotta, because I would like to just not have a day job and just do this. So I feel like I have to do a little more than slime letters. But I got this band wanted me to do. They're having like an album release show, and this guy writes me this like, oh, I hope he doesn't hear this. He's great, whatever. Thanks for the money. He wrote this whole long email that was like this like dissertation on my work. He was like, the reasons I like your art is that when I look at it, I am forced to question my own masculinity, and like the grotesque like magnifies my own like discomfort and my identity. And then, but please, whatever you do not make this poster gross. He's like, the words were like, he was like, if you find yourself drawing something gross, don't do it.
Oh my gosh. Did you do it?
He was really specific. He wanted it to be like a carnival freak show kind of thing. So I had to draw these like freaks.
And
But he
without
wanted
making
like
it gross somehow.
he's like, I want a man in a top hat or a man on a bicycle, like thinking those were the circus freaks. And I'm like, no, the circus freaks were actually like really like othering, kind of like
Yeah.
really fucked up, exoticizing, racist, like whatever. But I'm not gonna draw the bearded lady and not make it gross. Like, are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
Also, where's the fun in that?
I
Like
know.
a sexy bearded lady, like make it fun. Like
I made
I
it
don't
a
know.
little gray. It ended up being a really ugly poster that I'm not proud of, but I feel bad about it.
Well, it's a man in power making you do something you don't want to do.
I'm
Well, how do you feel? Do you feel like we've hashed out anything? Do you feel
Yeah, I'm
you're
realizing
just
that,
gonna
like,
still be a crazy?
you would tell me if I was crazy, right?
Yes, I would. I think you're crazy in a great way, though.
But do you think that your friends would be like, "Hey, Charlie, you're losing your mind"?
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a comedian, I know people that at the drop of a hat seem to have lost their mind. In the 4 years I've been doing it, I can name 4 very specific names.
Literally lost their mind.
Yeah, and I'm not going to name them on the podcast, but like
Do
to
they-
where people are like, what the fuck is happening? Literally everyone's talking about it. And it's difficult because like then their closest friends have to intervene and be like, why are you being like this? And with most of them, I don't know why they snapped. And like also with most of them, they've seemed to have calmed down since then.
Mhm.
But it's like it literally is like, what happened? Why did they
Mhm.
go crazy all of a sudden? And it's
Mhm.
usually based on one specific topic, and it's like all they can talk about
Mm.
all the time online or in person,
Mhm.
and it's really aggressive and scary. And then it goes away. But it is like, I guess your friends have, at that point, your friends have to be the ones to step in and be like, yo, you're crazy now. Why are you crazy?
Do you think that anyone you know could be capable of murder? I can name at least 3
I
people
feel like
I
I'm
know.
capable of murder
Yeah,
sometimes.
that's
Like,
yeah.
like I
All
used
right,
to.
you're a little bit of a rage boy.
I used to have a lot of rage issues. I still do,
Mhm.
but I'm better at coping with them now.
'Cause you're just the sweetest boy.
Yeah, I'm not though.
Mm,
I try real hard to be.
that's good.
Actually,
'Cause some people don't try at all.
I don't know. Yeah, I just don't want to be a scary man in power. I want people to be comfortable around me at all times. It's not
yeah,
easy.
see that, but then you're what my mom said is you can never really know anyone, 'cause I would never think that you got a punch in ya.
Yeah, I am not happy. I'm not proud that I'm a angry boy. I wish I weren't. I have, in the past 6 months, I've been doing a lot of just work and positive thought and stuff to like fix my anger. Like there's a hole in my wall at home that I have to fix this month before I move, because I was too angry and I punched a wall.
Yeah, but
Why
I
would
don't
I do
have
that?
any. I wish I had something like more extreme. I can't just be. I have no like. I can't say that I punched a wall, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
It's
Which just
so
sounds pretty
funny.
cool.
Just you. It's not cool. It's not cool. I get how externally, like, it'd be like, whoa, but it's not. It's
Yeah.
so uncool. Like,
Yeah.
when you witness it,
Mm-hmm.
it's a frightening, weird thing. And, like, in no way did I do it to intimidate my girlfriend.
Right.
It wasn't that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see that, that's an intimidating, weird thing.
Yeah.
And, like, I hate that I did that.
Right.
So it's not cool. It's really not cool
Yeah.
to be angry. Like, when you're angry, like when I was an angry, cynical person, I thought like I'm on the ball. Like I see it. I see the bullshit. I get. I'm angry, and being angry is where it's at. I'm like, if someone's a dick, you should fight him. You should shut him up. And it's like, that's like the least cool thing. Like, violence sucks. It's
Yeah.
like, violence is the worst thing.
Mm-hmm.
But for some reason, I think it's just glorified. Like I mentioned Fight Club earlier. Like,
Yeah, I
I
guess
fucking
you're
loved
right.
that movie as a kid.
Right.
I loved it, and it was like violent, and I
Right.
thought it was so cool that they like these tough badass men. And it's like the whole point of Fight Club is anti that. Like when he wrote it, he was mocking male masculinity.
Right.
And
It's so funny now who
but
loves
you don't
that
get it.
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone that loves it is like, I want to do that. But the whole point
It's like
is,
high
no, these people are
T alphas.
jackasses.
Yeah. That's funny,
So
because
weird.
also, like, anger is glorified. So is, like, I mean, like, the melancholy is glorified, too, especially with, like, comics. Like, oh, he's a tortured artist. But, like, you were saying, yeah, it's, like, not cool when my girlfriend sees me punch a wall. And I'm like, yeah, it's also not cool when my boyfriend just walks in my room and I'm just, like, lying down catatonic staring at the ceiling. Like, that's not fun at all.
Yeah, but I mean, we all have our different.
I know. Don't you wonder? There are people who are kind of boring who, like, don't get sad and don't get angry.
Wouldn't that suck though?
You wouldn't know it, though. You wouldn't know that it sucked because you
know.
would just be there.
But you're just existing. Like for all my faults and for all my like depression and stuff, I feel like I'm like interesting. I feel like
still
I'm.
trying to get there.
I don't know.
I just
maybe
wish
I'm
I
not
was like more
interesting.
fun to talk to.
I actually feel like I'm a loser. I feel like that a lot. Anyways, we should wrap this up.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna help you. There's no way to help you. You're just gonna be afraid of men forever, because that's the world we live in.
They're
But
rapists.
I feel like you're. Oh God. I feel like you are a powerful force. You're very funny. I think you're gonna do fine. And I also think you have a good head on your shoulders, so you're gonna associate yourself with the right people. So you probably won't be put in scary situations all that frequently. I mean, there's no controlling it 100%, but
right.
I feel like you'll be fine.
Thank you, Charlie.
Unless Trump gets elected, then we're all fucked.
Mm.
Anyways, Sarah,
you'll
where
punch him to
can
death.
people find? I'll punch him to death.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. This is the
punch-
second time we've talked about killing Trump on this podcast. We're gonna get pulled. where can people find you?
You
Plugs
can
and shit.
find me.
On Twitter?
I'm gonna try to buy my domain name. It's like hopefully when this comes out, I'll have sarahsquirm.com. But I'm so lazy and I can't figure out how to do it.
Okay.
For now, it's sarahsquirm.tumblr.com.
Yeah.
Right, but I want to like. Oh, I don't know. You're right. I have to figure-
Squarespace. You can buy it through Squarespace.
Can I buy it through
I shouldn't be
Tumblr?
advertising. No, you can buy your domain name through Squarespace when you sign up for like their service.
Wait, can I use my
get-
Tumblr and just convert it? See, I
But
don't
then
know.
it would still be sarahsquirm.tumblr.com.
Oh,
You want sarahsquirm.com?
yeah. Well, maybe I'll own sarahsquirm.com. For now, it's .tumblr.com.
Well, if you hear this and you like Sarah, maybe check out a website that may or may not exist, sarahsquirm.com. But
It's got all my gross shit.
but whether or not it exists, check out sarahsquirm.tumblr.com. I got a gnat in my face. We are recording this on Sarah's back porch.
It's really cool.
We're at Twitter. You're Sarah Squirm. Is there an underscore? Just Sarah.
No,
at
just
Sarah
Sarah
Squirm.
Squirm. It's a fine Twitter. I wouldn't recommend it. It's fine.
Yeah, and then I know it's real shitty. No,
no,
I'm just kidding. It's great. Well, and then Instagram.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of drawings on Instagram at Sarah Squirm. You could come to a show. Can I plug a show?
Yeah, man. Plug everything.
Helltrap Nightmare at the Hideout on July 20th, and then Helltrap Nightmare at the Hideout on August 17th.
Ooh, fuck yeah. I didn't know you were doing two. Is that just where Helltrap is now?
No, we're gonna move around.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
just like fucking. I don't know how to plan anything far in advance, so
Yeah.
I'm just like.
Well, that's what I tell people, tell the audience. Follow on Twitter so you can see where these shows are.
Where the
announced.
shows are. Oh.
So yeah, if you're in
very
Chicago, come see Helltrap. It's a
smart.
really fun variety show. There's some stand-up comedy. There's performance art. There's
harsh
what's
noise
it called?
music.
Harsh noise music.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's lots of. It's really fun and interesting.
It's terrifying.
And it's mostly comedy. Not mostly.
Yeah.
I guess mostly isn't the
Yeah,
right word.
it's
But
like-
there's like it's I don't know.
75%.
It's very it's a good mix.
It's a good little mix. We got a little mix. Charlie, what would you like to plug today?
As always, you can
Mhm.
find me at Charlie Roar on Twitter and on Tumblr at hearmeroar.tumblr.com. I
That's-
always
ooh, that's
forget
good.
my fucking Tumblr name. Hearmeroar.tumblr.com, and in both Charlie Roar and Hear Me Roar, Roar is spelled ROHRER. Fuck yeah.
And you can
And
find
what?
Charlie in New York soon.
Yeah. Probably dead on the streets. Look for my
Where?
corpse in New York City. Sarah, thank you so much for doing my podcast. I hope you don't lose sleep tonight because I just dragged up a bunch of weird thoughts and emotions.
I hope you don't lose sleep tonight because I talked about gross stuff.
No, I'll be fine. Cool. Love you.
Clink. That was wine glasses.
Oh, Sarah.
Uh-huh.